Chapter 2049. The death abyss was as dark as ink and unfathomable. The moment it appeared, it pressed down on the ancient devil, suppressing him within the abyss. Success. Some of the people from the ancient devil nation were overjoyed. Previously, Gulong had used this move to defeat the Son of the Void. Even the law of the void could not break the death abyss. All living beings will die if they fall into the death abyss, Gulong said as he exploded. The death chi in the death abyss was extremely dense. But in the next moment, Gulong's face changed. Dong. A deafening explosion could be heard from the death abyss. Dong. Dong. Following that, the explosion in the death abyss became more intense. In the end, the entire death abyss shook violently. After a series of explosions, the abyss of death suddenly exploded as a figure covered in a demonic glow appeared in the sky like a peerless demon. As for Gulong, the moment the death abyss was broken, he retreated with blood flowing out of his mouth. Defeated. The son of death, Gulong, was defeated. At this moment, many of the people from the ancient devil nation turned pale. The strongest person from the ancient devil nation had been defeated. This time, the ancient devil nation had suffered a crushing defeat. Just the ancient devil alone was enough to wipe out all of them. How could the Son of Heaven be defeated? Some of the young people found it even more unbelievable. The Son of Heaven was almost invincible among those of the same level. But now, the Son of Heaven was defeated. Many of the young people felt their confidence crumbling. Haha, ancient devil nation. The geniuses of your ancient devil nation aren't that great. Is there anyone else who wants to give it a try? The Undying Emperor laughed heartily. The Undying Devil Nation and the Ancient Devil Nation were two super devil nations in the land of infinite devils. They had been competing with each other for a long time. The Undying Emperor was naturally happy to be able to slap the Ancient Great Emperor in the face. The other people from the Ancient Devil Nation did not look too good. Slapping the Ancient Great Emperor in the face was equivalent to humiliating them. To think that the Undying Devil Nation has someone who has cultivated the primordial demon Tao to such a level. This is rare. The Ancient Great Emperor spoke. Haha, this person is a legendary genius of my Undying Devil Kingdom. He hasn't been able to awaken his bloodline since he was a child, much less comprehend concepts or control laws. But this boy has his own lucky chance. He accidentally obtained a cultivation method of the ancient demon path. I never imagined that he would be a peerless genius that cultivates the ancient demon path. After cultivating the ancient demon path, his strength has soared by leaps and bounds. Undead Emperor was very proud, and he introduced Ancient Devil. Many people were shocked. They had not expected that the Ancient Devil could not cultivate the martial way of the present, nor could he comprehend the concepts and laws. However, he was incomparably suited for the ancient demon path. He was a peerless genius who cultivated the ancient demon path. The ancient cultivation system was extremely difficult to cultivate, and it was many times more difficult than the current cultivation system. Otherwise, it would not have been gradually lost. Furthermore, it didn't mean that just by cultivating the primeval demon path, one would be able to crush the current cultivation system, and even defeat the Elysian child. Only the most exceptional of geniuses could reach the level of the ancient devil. Primordial cultivation system, primordial demonic Tao. Lu Ming muttered, and his eyes were filled with a strong battle intent. This was the first time Lu Ming had encountered and heard of the primordial cultivation system. The primordial era of the heavenly world was an era even earlier than the ancient era. At that time, the evil god tribe had not yet started their invasion. Lu Ming was really excited to see the ancient devil, and he wondered if he should take action and fight with him. Kid, you come up. Just as Lu Ming was thinking, a voice rang out. A young man from the undead devil kingdom stepped onto the battle stage and looked at Lu Ming. That's right, he was looking at Lu Ming. This young man was the one who had defeated Luo Xian, and Lu Ming had saved Luo Xian, and he was called Yuan Tua. Previously, he had been careless and had been pushed back by Lu Ming. He felt that he had lost face, and he was in a bad mood. He had been thinking about how to ruthlessly beat up Lu Ming to regain his face. Now that the battle had ended, he finally found an opportunity to step onto the battle stage. You, aren't you very strong? Didn't you want to be the hero who saved the beauty? Come up and fight with me, Let's see what you're capable of. Yuan Tuo stared at Lu Ming and shouted again. Lu Ming laughed. He really laughed. He had been looking for an opportunity to show off. Firstly, he wanted to attract the attention of the ancient great emperor. Secondly, he did want to fight with the ancient devil. Therefore, Lu Ming did not hesitate and stepped onto the battle stage. On the ancient devil kingdom side, some people looked at Lu Ming curiously. This was because Luo Xian had said that Lu Ming had defeated Song Yan. They did not know if it was true or not. Make your move. I'll give you a chance to make your move. With one hand behind his back, Lu Ming spoke nonchalantly with a contemptuous look on his face. Of course, he did it on purpose. As expected, Yuan Tuo was angry. You're courting death. Yuan Tuo shouted. He channeled all his strength and rushed towards Lu Ming with a swoosh, throwing out a punch. This punch was like a demonic bull galloping. It was like a sharp horn piercing toward Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming's move was simple. He threw out a punch. However, he did not use the law of array. Instead, he used the suppressing hell skill. The power of the suppressing hell skill was completely contained in his fist. It clashed with Yuan Tuo's fist. Dong. Like a drum, the sky buzzed. Then a figure flew back and fell a few hundred meters away. This figure was naturally Yuan Tuo. Initially, many people from the ancient devil kingdom were dispirited because of the defeat of the two Elysian children. But now their eyes lit up. To be able to defeat Yuan Tuo in one move, his combat strength was not weak. Could it be that what Luo Xian said was true? Lu Ming had defeated Song Yan? Yuan Tuo struggled to get up. His face was flushed red. He had challenged Lu Ming to defeat Lu Ming to regain his face. He did not expect to be defeated by Lu Ming in one move. He was sent flying a few hundred meters away. Not only did he not regain his face, he was even more embarrassed. He regretted it, and was so angry that he almost vomited blood. What's your rank in the ancient devil kingdom? Yuan Tuo gritted his teeth and asked. If Lu Ming was ranked high in the ancient devil kingdom, he would not be so embarrassed after being defeated. Nameless. Lu Ming said calmly. He did not participate in the ancient devil kingdom's battle, so he was indeed nameless. However, when the sky prides of the ancient devil kingdom heard this, they felt that Lu Ming was humiliating them on purpose. How could a nameless person defeat Yuan Tuo? You're trying to humiliate us in this way, aren't you? Let me fight you. A young man from the ancient devil kingdom snorted. He took a step forward and appeared in the fighting ring, facing Lu Ming. Chapter 2050. Make your move. Lu Ming said calmly. That person moved and slashed out a vast demonic blade. Its power was indeed stronger than Yuan Tuo's. However, Lu Ming threw a punch, directly crushing the other party's saber gleam, and sending the other party flying. One move, another move. His opponent had a king body at the peak of the absolute saint realm, so his combat power was definitely strong. However, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the peak of the absolute saint realm, but he was able to defeat his opponent with one move, which shocked many people. What a strong combat power. One punch and he's able to destroy everything. His fighting style is a bit like the ancient devils. There are no law fluctuations. Someone was puzzled. I heard that he defeated Song Yan before. I was skeptical, but now it seems that it might be true. Someone thought of Luo Xian's words. Song Yan's face was extremely pale. Some people might not have taken Luo Xian's words seriously, but Lu Ming's real strength confirmed Luo Xian's words. He had been defeated by Lu Ming before. Lu Ming, get off the fighting ring. You're just a nobody. You're not qualified to fight on the fighting ring. Song Yan shouted, asking Lu Ming to get off the fighting ring. Lu Ming glanced coldly at Song Yan and scolded. This is between me and the elites of the immortal demon kingdom. Shut up, you piece of trash. What did you say? Song Yan was furious after being called a piece of trash by Lu Ming in public. He glared at Lu Ming. You've been defeated by me, and you've been defeated by the people of the immortal demon kingdom. How dare you talk nonsense here? If you're not a piece of trash, what are you? If I were you, I would destroy my own cultivation. What's the point of practicing martial arts? Lu Ming shouted. You. Song Yan's body trembled, and his face turned red. How dare you? You're so young. Yet you're so vicious. You want to ruin my mental state? You deserve to die. The Blue Demon King coldly shouted, his eyes filled with ice-cold killing intent. A powerful aura enveloped Lu Ming. Song Mo, it's best that you don't interfere in the matters of the younger generation. At this moment, the ancient great emperor spoke indifferently. With a slight wave of his hand, the Blue Demon King's aura disappeared without a trace. Previously, in the contest between the ancient devil nation, he had given the authority to the Blue Demon King. Since the other party did not allow Lu Ming to participate, he could not be bothered to interfere. But now, the ancient devil nation had been defeated time and time again, and they had lost all face. On the other hand, Lu Ming had just defeated 2 people in a row, and he had regained some face. Naturally, he would not allow the Blue Demon King to act recklessly. When the ancient great emperor spoke, the Blue Demon King's expression changed greatly. He hurriedly bowed and sat down. However, his icy gaze still swept over Lu Ming from time to time. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, more sky prides from the undying devil nation flashed and landed on the battle stage. They wanted to challenge Lu Ming. You're not my match. Lu Ming shook his head. He did not look at these people anymore. Instead, he stepped into the air and walked toward the ancient devil. What is he doing? Many people were stunned. Lu Ming was walking toward the ancient devil? Even the Elysian children were flabbergasted. Lu Ming came to the front of the ancient devil, his eyes filled with intense battle intent. This is the first time I've encountered the ancient devil path. Fight with me, Lu Ming said. His voice was clear and calm. However, it was like a gust of wind that swept in all directions. Everyone was stunned. Lu Ming was going to challenge the ancient devil? I didn't hear wrongly, right? He's going to challenge the ancient devil? It's true. I heard it too. He's going to challenge the ancient devil. He's crazy. He's crazy. Many people shouted loudly. To them, this was simply inconceivable. Lu Ming was going to challenge the ancient devil. Just now, the ancient devil had displayed his terrifying strength and defeated 2 Elysian children in a row. His battle strength was shocking. But now Lu Ming was going to challenge the ancient devil? Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the peak of the absolute saint realm. Although he had shown strong battle strength and had easily defeated Yuan Tua and the others, and it was rumored that he had defeated Song Yan. But so what? They were not on the same level at all. Someone like Song Yan would probably be crushed by the ancient devil in one move. Many people thought that Lu Ming was crazy. Luo Xian Wuxi and the Luo family head were also dumbfounded. Although Lu Ming was powerful, he could not be compared to the ancient demon, who was a rare genius in this world. You overestimate yourself. You think you can be arrogant just because you have some strength? Yu Ning mocked coldly. He's just playing to the gallery. He's just playing to the gallery. Song Yan mocked loudly. He thought that Lu Ming was just playing to the gallery. The ancient great emperor, the undying emperor, and the other top experts were all curious. Knowing the ancient devil's battle strength, he still dared to challenge him in public. Was he really playing to the gallery? Just as everyone was having various thoughts or discussing fervently, Lu Ming's aura suddenly erupted. Boom! Saint power surged out of Lu Ming's body like a mighty river. It turned into a pillar of saint power and shot into the sky. What a strong saint power, what a condensed saint power. This saint power fluctuation is no weaker than a complete absolute saint. Even at the peak of the absolute saint realm, he has such strong saint power. No wonder his battle strength is so strong. Feeling Lu Ming's saint power, some people were shocked and disgusted. But the next moment, the crowd quieted down. In the void, a gray light flashed and intertwined with Lu Ming's saint power, making Lu Ming's aura stronger. The law of chaos. Everyone could tell at a glance that this was the law of chaos. But this was not the end. In the next moment, a halo surrounded Lu Ming, making Lu Ming look like a god of war. This was the light of chaos. At this moment, many people's expressions were extremely interesting. For example, Yu Ning, Ji Tian, Song Yan, and the others opened their mouths so wide that they could swallow a dead mouse. And their expressions were full of shock, disbelief as if they had really swallowed a dead mouse. Luo Xian's mouth was slightly open, and her face was full of surprise. The son of chaos, it's the son of chaos. At this moment, someone finally yelled. The crowd was in an uproar. The son of chaos, so Lu Ming was the son of chaos. No wonder Lu Ming's battle strength was so strong, and he was so confident. He said that the other sky prides of the Undying Empire were no match for him, and challenged the ancient devil directly. The son of chaos, who had cultivated the law of chaos, was indeed qualified to challenge the ancient devil. Those who thought Lu Ming was playing to the gallery, and that Lu Ming was overestimating himself, or that he was crazy, all shut up. The ancient great emperor's eyes flashed with surprise. He did not expect that in the ancient devil nation, there was another son of chaos besides the son of death and the son of nothingness. Ancient devil nation, such a sky pride, is not famous in the ancient devil nation? Ah! Is this how the eternal devil kingdom treats an Elysian child? You've really impressed me. The undying emperor laughed loudly. The ancient great emperor's face darkened slightly. Chapter 2051. This has nothing to do with the great emperor. It's just that some people don't think he's qualified, so I didn't participate in the competition. Lu Ming replied. He still needed to borrow the immemorial demonic coffin from the ancient great emperor, so he naturally had to speak up for the ancient great emperor. Oh, some people are really blind. The undying emperor said with a smile. The blue demon king and Song Yan's faces darkened. Lu Ming deserves to die. The two of them roared in their hearts. The undying heavenly emperor was referring to them when he said that they were blind. However, they did not dare to be hostile to the undying heavenly emperor. They could only blame everything on Lu Ming. The ancient devil looked at Lu Ming in surprise, then shook his head and said, "You're no match for me." His voice was calm, but it was filled with confidence. Even Gelong, who had reached the peak of the absolute saint realm, wasn't his match. How could Lu Ming be his match? How would we know if we don't fight? Lu Ming followed suit and spoke confidently. The ancient devil was surprised. Lu Ming knew his combat strength, but he was still so confident. Could it be that he was really confident? Then let's fight, the ancient devil said. And a terrifying aura emanated from his body. A dark demonic light enveloped him. Boom. Lu Ming made the first move. He was still using the hell-suppressing heaven skill. However, this time, the suppressing hell skill was supported by the law of chaos and the chaotic light. Boom. The sky shook, and the space rippled like water. A terrifying power surged toward the ancient devil. The ancient devil's body shook, and a demonic light burst out. He threw out a punch and collided with Lu Ming. Dong. A deafening explosion sounded, and a terrifying power swept out in all directions. Some of the power landed on the fighting ring, causing it to shake violently. Boom, boom, boom. A figure took 3 steps back, and the space around him exploded. It was Lu Ming. In this collision, Lu Ming was at a disadvantage and was forced to retreat. On the other hand, the ancient demon did not move. Lu Ming was defeated in the end. Some people sighed inwardly. In the first move, Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. After all, he was no match for ancient devil. Haha, he's overestimating himself. The ancient devil is best off killing him. Cripple him. Song Yan laughed in his heart. He hoped ancient devil would go crazy and destroy Lu Ming. What terrifying power. At this moment, Lu Ming was also a little shocked. When he had just clashed with ancient devil, he realized that ancient devil's body was not only strong, but his demonic light was also shockingly powerful. That demonic light was extremely condensed and possessed unparalleled offensive power. Even Lu Ming's law of primal chaos was about to be torn apart by it. It was Lu Ming's first time encountering such astonishing power. Again. Lu Ming roared. He circulated the suppressing hell heaven skill to the extreme, and continued to attack Ancient Devil. Ancient Devil was like a demonic god as he charged at Lu Ming. Dong. Dong. The two of them clashed in the void, causing the sky to tremble. However, Lu Ming was completely at a disadvantage. Every time they clashed, his body would be pushed back. After exchanging more than 10 moves, he had already retreated a few hundred meters. Dong. After the 15th move, Lu Ming retreated 1,000 meters. He felt a stinging pain in his palm and arm. Amazing, amazing! Is this the power of the primordial demon path? Lu Ming exclaimed. This was a cultivation system that was completely different from the current cultivation system. However, the degree of its profoundness was not inferior to the current cultivation system. You overestimate yourself. How dare you challenge a genius of the primordial demon path? You're just asking to be humiliated. Song Yin could not help but mock. However, when he saw the ancient great emperor glancing at him coldly, he trembled and almost wet himself. His expression changed and he did not dare to say a word. Whoosh! After the ancient devil repelled Lu Ming, he did not stop and continued to attack Lu Ming. Chaotic Calamity Finger. At this time, Lu Ming did not continue to use the suppressing Hell Heaven skill. Instead, he used the Chaotic Calamity Finger. With the point of his finger, a huge chaotic ring formed and blasted towards Ancient Devil. Boom! Ancient Devil's fist bombarded the chaotic ring. The Chaotic Calamity Finger shook violently and broke inch by inch. However, this time, Ancient Devil's attack was also blocked. His body stagnated and came to a stop. At this time, Lu Ming's left hand was filled with endless runes. With a slap, the runes condensed into 9 dragons that rushed towards Ancient Devil. This is the law of Array Dao? He has mastered 2 types of law. How can this be? A sage state can actually control 2 types of law. Many people exclaimed in disbelief. Some even stood up from their seats in excitement. A sage state could actually control 2 types of law. This was unheard of. This guy, he didn't use much of his strength in Yura Kingdom. Luo Xian exclaimed. He finally understood why Lu Ming used the law of Devil Thunder in the beginning. It was formed by the law of chaos. Beside him, Yu Ning, Ji Tian, and Ji Peng naturally heard Luo Xian's words. They were tongue-tied, but in the end they sighed. They understood that Lu Ming did not use his true strength in Yura Kingdom. He was just playing with them. He probably did not take them seriously at all. Yu Ning especially had mixed feelings. In the beginning, Lu Ming had become her guest, but later on, she had personally chased Lu Ming out of the eldest princess mansion. She actually expelled a son of chaos from the eldest princess residence. The undead emperor said that the Blue Demon King and Song Yen were blind. Wasn't she the same? The 9 dragons roared and pounced toward the elder devil. At the same time, Lu Ming pointed with his right hand. A chaotic finger of calamity was formed and blasted toward the elder devil. The 2 types of law attacked at the same time. Finally, the elder devil's expression turned serious. The demonic light on his body gathered and finally turned into a demonic blade that he held in his hand. Whoosh! A blade light slashed toward the 9 dragons. The terrifying power instantly tore the 9 dragons' bodies apart. However, after the 9 dragons were torn apart, they turned into endless runes and spread toward the elder devil, trying to seal him. Break! The elder devil roared. Demonic light burst out with shocking power, and directly tore apart the law of Array Dao. Then he slashed out again and collided with the chaotic finger of calamity. This slash tore apart the chaotic finger of calamity, but his own attack also slowed down and was not smooth. Then Lu Ming's hands moved at the same time. He used the law of chaos and the law of Array Dao at the same time to fight the elder devil. The 2 fought fiercely. In the blink of an eye, dozens of moves had passed, but the outcome was still undecided. The eyes of many people from the ancient demonic nation lit up. Lu Ming could really fight the elder devil. His battle strength was shocking and beyond everyone's expectations. The faces of the people from the undead demonic nation also turned ugly. The 4 Elysian children of the 2 nations looked extremely serious. Chapter 2052. This ancient devil is even stronger than Xing He in the Lotus World. During the battle, Lu Ming analyzed the abilities of the ancient demons. Back in the Lotus World, Xing He's cultivation had already reached the peak of the Absolute Saint realm. He was only 1 step away from becoming a quasi-emperor, the same as Gelong. At that time, Lu Ming needed to borrow the power of his 3rd bloodline to fight against Xing He. However, after such a long time, Lu Ming was no longer the same as before. At that time, he was only in the Absolute Saint realm. Now he was at the peak of the Absolute Saint realm. He was only 1 step away from reaching the peak of the Absolute Saint realm. And now, whether it was the chaotic tribulation finger or the maturity of the array Dao laws, they were incomparable to before. They had improved greatly. He could even fuse the law of chaos and the law of formation. Lu Ming's combat strength was much stronger than when he was in the Lotus World and Xing He. Now Lu Ming could suppress Xing He even without using his third bloodline. Of course, that was if Xing He hadn't broken through yet. The battle was still going on. However, Lu Ming had the law of chaos and the law of formation. With them working together, he wasn't any weaker than his opponent. The law of formation gathered 9 dragons to attack. It had the power to destroy and seal. Although the seal would be torn apart by the ancient devil's power every time, it would still disturb him a little. Then he used the chaotic finger of calamity as the main attack. Although the ancient devil was strong, he was still blocked by Lu Ming. Lu Ming and the ancient devil exchanged dozens of blows, but it was still difficult to determine the winner. Annihilation Chaotic Finger of Calamity. Lu Ming suddenly used the Annihilation Chaotic Finger of Calamity. Endless runes covered the chaotic finger of calamity, but they were covered by chaotic light. If one didn't pay attention, one wouldn't be able to see them. The ancient devil also thought that it was the same as the chaotic finger of calamity. He gathered demonic light and slashed at the chaotic finger of calamity. However, when he hit the chaotic finger of calamity, his expression changed. The power of the chaotic finger of calamity was beyond his expectations. Roar! He roared and demonic light burst out of his body to resist the power of the chaotic finger of calamity. However, he was still a little too late. A terrifying power surged out and sent the ancient devil flying. Ancient devil retreated a few thousand meters. Blood oozed from the corner of his mouth. I lost. The ancient demon took a careful look at Lu Ming before speaking. Then he stepped back and flew to the battleship in the air. I was just lucky. Lu Ming thought to himself. The skill he had just used was a trick. Ancient devil had been careless, which was why he had been hurt. If he was prepared, Lu Ming might have been able to gain the upper hand, but he might not have been able to beat ancient devil. He won. Lu Ming won. Those from the ancient devil nation were overjoyed. Indeed, there was a silver lining at the end of the tunnel. Previously, they had been completely suppressed by the undying devil kingdom. Even the 2 Elysian children had been defeated by the ancient devil. He did not expect Lu Ming to appear at the critical moment and defeat ancient devil. There was no doubt that the ancient devil was the #1 genius of the undying devil kingdom. If even the ancient devil had been defeated, then there was no one in the undying devil kingdom that was a match for Lu Ming. Ha ha ha. Great. Someone from the ancient devil nation laughed, feeling that they had finally gotten their revenge. Lu Ming. Luo Xian murmured. Her eyes were filled with splendor. Those from the undying devil nation looked gloomy. This time around they had come prepared. They wanted to make use of the fact that the ancient times emperor was celebrating the passing of his calamity, to make use of the younger generation to humiliate the ancient devil nation, causing the ancient times emperor to lose face. Everything was going as planned. They had successfully defeated the geniuses of the ancient devil nation. However, they did not expect Lu Ming to appear and turn the situation around. If Lu Ming had continued to challenge them, wouldn't he have been able to defeat them? The one who regretted it the most was Yuan Tua. He wished he could slap himself. He had challenged Lu Ming first. He had not expected to provoke such a calamity. He did not expect to provoke Lu Ming. The ancient devil nation is indeed full of geniuses. It's a pity that someone is blind. Such a genius is unknown. What a joke. The undying emperor laughed. He then stepped out and returned to the battleship. The rest of the people from the undying devil nation followed suit. Rumble. The battleship was activated. It broke through the void and disappeared. The people from the undying devil nation had left. However, the Blue Demon King and Song Yin looked terrible. The undying emperor's words were like a slap to their faces. They're finally gone. This time, it's all thanks to Lu Ming. Otherwise, we would have been humiliated by the undying devil nation. That's right. The undying devil nation has a genius who cultivates the immemorial demon path. That's amazing. No matter how amazing they were defeated by Lu Ming in the end. Someone said that Lu Ming is not qualified to take part in the competition. What a joke. After the people from the Undying Devil Nation left, the crowd started to discuss. Some of them were even secretly mocking Yi Futian. A genius like Lu Ming was not allowed to take part in the competition. If Lu Ming was not qualified, who was? Damn it. The Blue Demon King roared in his heart. He could not wait to chop Lu Ming into pieces. As for Tsang Yen, his face was extremely gloomy. The ancient great emperor looked at the Blue Demon King with dissatisfaction. He then looked at Lu Ming and said with a smile, Lu Ming, I heard that you're from the Yura Kingdom? Naturally, the ancient demon emperor had heard the discussions earlier on. That's right. Lu Ming said. Good. The Yura Kingdom actually has a genius like you. You defeated a genius from the immemorial demon path, when you're at the peak of the sage realm. That's a rare sight. I hereby announce that the ranking of this competition will be changed. You're the first, and the rest will move back by 1 place. The ancient great emperor announced. Song Yan's face changed drastically. Lu Ming was the first, and the rest would move back by 1 place. Song Yan was the third, and he could make a request to the ancient great emperor. But now he was the fourth, and he was not qualified to make a request. Song Yan almost vomited blood. He had thought of a request that would be very useful to him. But now everything was in vain. It's all Lu Ming's fault. Song Yan was furious. In his opinion, why did Lu Ming have to fight and defeat the ancient devil? Everything was Lu Ming's fault. As for whether he would be humiliated by the Undying Demon Nation, it had nothing to do with him. How could it be more important than him making a request to the ancient great emperor? Do any of you have any objections? The ancient great emperor's gaze swept across the crowd, and it paused on the Blue Demon King and Song Yan. They had 100 or 1,000 objections in their hearts, but none of them dared to say it out loud. Obviously, Lu Ming had defeated the ancient devil and saved the ancient devil nation's face. The ancient great emperor was very satisfied with Lu Ming's performance. They could only smile against their will and say that they had no objections. Alright, in that case, Lu Ming is the first. According to my promise, the top 3 can make a request to me. Lu Ming, what do you want? Just say it. Chapter 2053. Lu Ming was overjoyed. The reason why he had challenged the ancient devil emperor was partly because he wanted to spar with him, but more importantly he wanted to show off his strength and attract the attention of the ancient great emperor. From there, he would have the chance to make a request. Now Lu Ming had achieved his goal. Great Emperor, Lu Ming wishes to borrow the ancient devil coffin for a month. I hope the great emperor can grant my request. Lu Ming clasped his fists at the ancient great emperor and stated his request. The moment he said that, the crowd fell silent. Many people looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming actually made such a request. The ancient devil coffin was the ancient devil nation's national treasure. Only the ancient great emperor had the qualifications to control it. Lu Ming was really bold. He actually wanted to borrow the ancient devil coffin for a month. Luo Xian's heart couldn't help but tighten. He was worried for Lu Ming. Impudent. Lu Ming, don't think that you can take a mile after getting an inch just because you have some talent. The ancient devil coffin is a treasure that you can borrow. The Blue Demon King took the opportunity to stand out and reprimand Luo Xian. However, Lu Ming didn't even look at him. His gaze was fixed on the ancient great emperor. The ancient great emperor frowned. Lu Ming, change your request. As long as I can do it, I will definitely help you. Lu Ming's heart sank. The ancient great emperor also didn't agree. Great emperor, this junior wants to borrow the ancient devil coffin to save someone. This junior has a relative whose soul is injured and needs the ancient devil coffin to heal. I hope the great emperor can grant my request. Lu Ming said again. The ancient great emperor's frown deepened. After a while he said, Lu Ming, after the banquet, come and find this great emperor. Yes. Lu Ming was overjoyed. It seemed like there was hope. Then it was time for the others to make their requests. The requests of the 2 sons of chaos were naturally related to cultivation. The ancient great emperor agreed to them one by one, causing the others to be filled with envy. The Battle of the 10 Earths will begin in less than 3 years. At that time, there will be great opportunities. Therefore, during this period of time, You must cultivate well and raise your cultivation and battle strength. Seize the opportunities in the battle of the 10 Earths. The ancient great emperor's voice resounded throughout the entire area. Many youths could not help but clench their fists. They had heard of the Battle of 10 Lands and were all looking forward to it. That was a gathering of all the geniuses of the entire primordial realm. How exciting would it be? The banquet continued until the next day, when it finally ended. Everyone left one by one. Princess, I won't return to the Yura kingdom. Lu Ming bid farewell to Luo Xian, the Luo family patriarch, and the others. Luo Xian sighed in her heart. Ever since she saw Lu Ming's strength, she knew that Lu Ming wouldn't stay in the Yura kingdom. The waters of the Yura kingdom were too shallow. They couldn't keep a true dragon. Take care. If there's a chance, come to the Yura kingdom to look for me. Luo Xian bared her teeth, revealing a pair of canine teeth. She was quite cute. Of course, with such a beautiful princess around, I will definitely think about you. If there's a chance, I will definitely look for you. Lu Ming smiled and joked. Finally, the people of the Yura kingdom left. The banquet was over, and they were going to return to the Yura kingdom. Young Master Lu Ming, please follow me. A middle-aged man came in front of Lu Ming. This person was sent by the ancient great emperor. Lu Ming nodded and followed the middle-aged man to a side hall. The ancient great emperor was sitting at the top of the hall. After arriving, the middle-aged man left. Lu Ming, must you borrow the ancient demon coffin? The ancient great emperor didn't beat around the bush and asked directly. Yes, ancient great emperor. Without the ancient demon coffin, I'm afraid that my family won't be able to wake up. Lu Ming spoke with a determined expression. The ancient great emperor pondered for a while and said, Lu Ming, if the ancient demon coffin is still with me, I can lend it to you for a month, but, the ancient great emperor paused. Lu Ming was shocked. What did the ancient great emperor mean? Could it be that the ancient demon coffin wasn't with the ancient great emperor? To tell you the truth, the ancient demon coffin was stolen a year ago. The ancient demon emperor paused for a while before continuing. What? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. The ancient demon coffin was stolen? How was that possible? Who would be able to steal the ancient demon coffin from the ancient great emperor? However, he didn't think that the ancient great emperor was lying to him. With the ancient great emperor's status, there was no need for him to lie to him. If the ancient great emperor didn't want to lend it to him, Lu Ming couldn't do anything about it. I didn't bring the ancient demon coffin with me. It was hidden in a secret place in the palace. A year ago, it was stolen. After that person stole the ancient demon coffin, he escaped into the demon sea. At that time, I was preparing for my tribulation, so I didn't chase after him. The ancient great emperor said. It's the demon sea. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He had stayed in the Yura kingdom for a while, so he knew some of the scary places in the land of infinite demons. The demon sea was known as one of the 3 forbidden places in the land of infinite demons. It was extremely scary. Since ancient times, countless people had entered it, and countless people had died there. It was said that even great emperors would be in danger if they entered. However, there were also rumors that the demon sea contained great opportunities. If one could obtain it, they would be able to break through. Entering the demon sea was purely based on luck. If one was lucky, even if their cultivation base was low, they would be fine after entering. However, if one was unlucky, even great emperors would be in danger after entering. There was once a great emperor who entered and left with serious injuries, shocking the entire land of infinite demons. Someone stole the ancient demon coffin and escaped into the demon sea. The ancient demon coffin can't be lost. It must be recovered. Now that I've passed my tribulation, I'm preparing to gather a group of people to enter the demon sea and take back the ancient demon coffin. If you want to borrow the ancient demon coffin, you can come with me. However, the situation in the demon sea is unpredictable. I can't guarantee your safety, the ancient great emperor said. Yes, great emperor. I'll go with you. Lu Ming agreed without hesitation. No matter what, he had to get the ancient demon coffin and save Autumn Moon. No matter how dangerous it was, he had to give it a try. I didn't expect you to be such a loyal little fellow. Alright, you can stay in the palace first. I'll send someone to call you when the time comes," the ancient great emperor said. Then he asked someone to arrange a place for Lu Ming to stay. Lu Ming stayed in the palace and waited. Lu Ming didn't have to wait for long before the ancient great emperor sent someone to find him. The person brought Lu Ming to a spacious area. Blue Demon King. Many people had already gathered here. Lu Ming immediately saw the Blue Demon King. The Blue Demon King's gaze swept past Lu Ming, and a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. Lu Ming discovered that there were several hundred people gathered here. However, they all had one thing in common. They were all very old. There were martial emperors and quasi-emperors. Lu Ming asked someone to find out. Only then did he know that these people were going to enter the Demon Sea. There were several hundred quasi-emperors and dozens of martial emperors here. Chapter 2054. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Hundreds of quasi-emperors near the end of their lifespans. This was a super demonic nation in the land of infinite demons. However, after thinking about it, Lu Ming understood. Sage realm cultivators could live for 100,000 to 200,000 years. As for quasi-emperors, it was too difficult to break through and reach martial emperor. After so many years, the number of quasi-emperors was definitely shocking. It was not just the ancient demonic nation. It was the same for other places and factions. These people did not have much lifespan left. If they did not find opportunities to break through, they would die of exhaustion sooner or later. As for those martial emperors, they were not at the end of their lifespans. Instead, they were about to face the next tribulation. The tribulation of martial emperors would get stronger with each tribulation. If they did not continue to break through, they would die under the tribulation sooner or later. Since ancient times, countless martial emperors had been born. However, only a few of them were truly immortal. Most of them died under the tribulation. Actually, martial emperors could feel the probability of them surviving the tribulation. For example, these people were not confident of surviving the tribulation. Hence, they wanted to enter the demonic sea to try their luck and see if they could break through. It was the same for the Blue Demon King. He was still a few thousand years away from the next tribulation. A few thousand years might seem long, but to these ancient martial emperors, it was just a blink of an eye. At this moment, space flashed, and the ancient great emperor appeared. Everyone bowed. This time, the main mission of entering the demonic sea is to take back the ancient demonic coffin. At the same time, we can try our luck. The ancient great emperor instructed. Then he waved his hand, and many black jade tokens appeared in the air. Carry these jade tokens with you and you can roughly sense each other's location. If we get separated in the demonic sea, we can meet up according to the location shown on the jade tokens. The ancient great emperor introduced. Then he waved his hand, and the jade tokens flew to everyone, one for each person. Lu Ming also received one and kept it. Let's go. You guys enter my small world first. I'll bring you there, the ancient great emperor said. Then he waved his hand. Lu Ming felt a force enveloping him. In the next moment, he appeared in an unfamiliar place. This is the great emperor's small world? Lu Ming soared into the sky and looked around, exclaiming in amazement. What came into view were vast mountains that stretched as far as the eye could see. There were still living creatures living in the mountains, but Lu Ming realized that these living creatures were different from those in the outside world. It was very likely that this was a creature that had been born in the ancient great emperor's small world. Great emperors controlled the great Tao. However, there were 3,000 great Taos. Different great Taos controlled different great Taos, so the small worlds would naturally be different. The living beings that were born would also be different. It was truly miraculous. Lu Ming sized up the surroundings, feeling extremely curious. Not far away, the Blue Demon King's gaze swept over Lu Ming from time to time, killing intent flashing through his eyes. About half a day later, a force acted on them, and they left this place. Lu Ming discovered that they were standing at the peak of a mountain. We are already at the edge of the Demon Sea. The ancient great emperor's voice rang out. Lu Ming looked ahead. In front of him, there seemed to be a layer of dark clouds, as if it was an ocean of clouds. That place was boundless, with no end in sight. This was the Demon Sea. The Demon Sea was not a real sea, but a sea of demonic aura. The demon sea was filled with endless demonic aura, and the area was vast and boundless. It was like a vast ocean, so it was called the Demon Sea. Once we enter the Demon Sea, everything will become unpredictable. You must follow me closely, the ancient great emperor said, and then rushed into the Demon Sea. Everyone followed closely behind the ancient great emperor. Chi. Lu Ming discovered that the moment they rushed into the Demon Sea, the black fog adhered to Lu Ming's body and had a strong corrosive effect. Lu Ming hurriedly circulated his saint power to resist. Fortunately, the corrosion was not very strong. A quasi-emperor was enough to resist it. They flew forward for a while, and then flew down in a straight line. The terrain of the Demon Sea seemed to be very low. They kept descending for tens of thousands of meters. However, the lower they went, the fainter the demonic aura seemed to be. Towards the end, they only needed to circulate their saint power to resist it. Only then did they see the ground. It was a boundless land, a land of gray. The entire land was gray and deathly still, devoid of any life force. After they landed, they were highly focused. This was the Demon Sea, one of the 3 most terrifying forbidden lands in the land of infinite demons. If they were unlucky, even a great emperor would be injured. Naturally, they did not dare to be careless and were on full alert. The ancient great emperor spread out his spiritual consciousness, as if he was sensing something, and then flew into the depths of the Demon Sea. The ancient great emperor's speed was very slow, and everyone could still keep up. This area was really dead, and there was no vitality. They flew for an entire day, and no one knew how long they had flown, but they did not encounter a single living thing, nor did they encounter any danger. Look, an ancient city. At this moment someone shouted. Everyone looked to the side, and saw an ancient city in the middle of a huge mountain. However, it was only a ruined city. It had completely collapsed, as if it had fallen from the sky. They went to take a look, but they did not find anything. In the past, some people speculated that the Demon Sea was an ancient battlefield. However, some people said that the things in the Demon Sea fell from the sky, which was why the Demon Sea was formed. Judging from this ancient city alone, it really seemed to have fallen from the sky. At this moment, the ancient great emperor suddenly turned around and looked behind him. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly looked behind them, but there was nothing behind them. They didn't find anything. Some people felt their hair stand on end. Could there really be something behind them? Otherwise, why would the great emperor be so vigilant? Great emperor, what did you find? Someone asked. The ancient great emperor frowned and shook his head. Let's leave this place. After saying that, he flew forward. Everyone followed, but many of them had solemn expressions. Even the great emperor seemed to be wary of something that made their hair stand on end. They could not be so unlucky as to encounter something that even the great emperor was wary of, right? If that was the case, the situation would not be good. Very soon, they had flown a very long distance. At this moment, the ancient great emperor suddenly stopped. He looked at the void beside him and shouted, "Get out here!" Boom. Following that, the ancient great emperor struck out with his palm. The strength of the great emperor was earth-shattering and extremely terrifying. The entire void was shattered by his palm. Rumble. The void exploded. At this moment, everyone saw a figure wrapped in a black robe. His appearance could not be seen clearly at all. However, the strength of this figure was extremely shocking. His body kept flickering and was extremely fast. None of the ancient great emperor's palm hit him. A great emperor powerhouse. Everyone's expressions changed and became incomparably ugly. Chapter 2055. That figure kept flickering at an extremely fast speed. Swoosh. Suddenly, that figure waved his hand and slashed out a terrifying demonic light towards the ancient great emperor. This demonic light was like a peerless demonic blade with boundless power. It even split the sky open. Boom. The ancient great emperor rushed up and blasted out a shocking palm print. It collided with the demonic light, causing the sky to rumble. So it's you. Hand over the ancient demonic coffin. The ancient great emperor roared. His figure flashed and rushed towards the other party, launching a terrifying attack. The other party was not afraid at all. His body was covered in demonic light as he fought with the ancient great emperor. Retreat! Someone shouted. They frantically retreated. That black figure was definitely a great emperor. The aftermath of a battle between great emperors was too terrifying. If one was caught in it, only death would await them. In an instant, they retreated thousands of miles. Boom! Boom! In that area, the void was completely destroyed. One could see how intense the battle was. Many people's faces turned pale. They did not expect to meet such a terrifying expert as soon as they entered. At the same time, they also thought of the ancient great emperor's words. Could it be that the ancient demonic coffin was stolen by this figure? Lu Ming clenched his fists. He hoped that the ancient great emperor could defeat the other party and take back the ancient demonic coffin. If the ancient great emperor could not take it back, he would have even less hope. What is that? Suddenly, someone exclaimed in a trembling voice. There was no need for him to shout. Everyone saw it. In front of them, a pitch-black gust of wind swept towards them. The gust of wind covered a very wide area. It was as if it covered the sky and earth. No, it was not a gust of wind. It was a type of insect. A type of pitch-black insect. There was an endless number of them. They gathered together and flapped their wings, bringing about an endless gust of wind that swept towards Lu Ming and the others. From afar, it was a pitch-black gust of wind. Those are demonic armor insects. Gosh, why are there so many of them? An old man whose hair was almost falling out exclaimed. He was a boundary emperor and his face was extremely ugly at this moment. The demon armor insect was a very scary type of demon insect. Alone it might not be strong, but in a group, it was very scary. Furthermore, there were endless demon armor insects here. It was unknown how many there were. Those above Martial Emperor blocked the demon armor insects. Those below Martial Emperor run. In the distance, the ancient great emperor's voice could be heard. They didn't dare to disobey the great emperor's orders. Immediately, the martial emperors charged at the demon armor insects, including the blue demon king. Boom! Boom! Dozens of martial emperors attacked at the same time, including true emperors and void emperors. Large numbers of demonic armor insects were killed, falling to the ground like raindrops. Many of them even turned into ashes under the horrifying power of the martial emperor. However, there were too many demon armor insects. They were a black mass, seemingly endless. Many of them still managed to break through the encirclement of the martial emperors and charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Go! Someone shouted. Whoosh! Whoosh! Several hundred quasi-emperors fled in all directions, flying into the distance. Lu Ming also rushed in the same direction. Hoo! Hoo! A strong wind blew, and the countless demon armor insects formed an arc, trying to surround them. Charge! Lu Ming unleashed his full power. His speed was faster than many quasi-emperors as he rushed towards an opening. There were no demon armor insects there. However, when Lu Ming was about to charge out of the encirclement of the demon armor insects, his expression changed slightly. This was because demon armor insects had appeared in front of him. However, there weren't many of them. They couldn't be compared to the endless demon armor insects. Charge over! Lu Ming gritted his teeth and charged over. Whoosh! Whoosh! Each demon armor insect was the size of a fist. They were pitch black, as if they were made of black iron. They were like pitch-black cannonballs as they charged at Lu Ming. A battle sword appeared in Lu Ming's hand. This battle sword was an emperor weapon. A battle sword was the best weapon to deal with such demon armor insects. It was better than a spear. Whoosh! With a swing of the battle sword, dozens of demon armor insects were cut in half by Lu Ming. However, compared to the densely packed demon armor insects, dozens of them were nothing. There were still many demon armor insects charging at Lu Ming. Lu Ming activated his saint power, and combined it with the law of primal chaos, to form a protective shield around his body. Boom! Boom! The demon armor insects crashed into the protective shield. There were continuous rumbles, and the protective shield shook violently. However, they couldn't break through Lu Ming's defense for the time being. Kill! Lu Ming wielded the emperor weapon battle sword and slashed continuously. A large number of demon armor insects were killed. In a few breaths, hundreds of demon armor insects fell to the ground. These demon armor insects weren't very strong individually. However, there were too many of them. They charged at Lu Ming fearlessly, crashing into Lu Ming's protective shield. If this continued, Lu Ming's saint power would be depleted quickly. Once his saint power was depleted, he would be in danger. At this moment, the other boundary emperors were also surrounded by the demon armor insects. They were constantly being attacked by the demon armor insects. They also charged forward with all their might, killing the demon armor insects and charging forward. Kill. 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 Lu Ming kept slashing with his battle sword. With each slash, a large number of demon armor insects were killed. He charged forward quickly. Everywhere he passed, the demon armor insects fell like raindrops. Fortunately, this wasn't the place where the demon armor insects gathered. It was just the border area where there were fewer demon armor insects. Soon, Lu Ming broke through the encirclement and flew forward quickly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, behind him, the wind howled. Countless demon armor insects chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming lowered his head and flew madly. After flying for at least a few hours, the demon armor insects behind him finally disappeared without a trace. However, Lu Ming was completely separated from the others. Look at the map. Lu Ming took out the map given by the ancient great emperor. He poured his saint power into it. The jade tablet glowed and a picture floated in the air. However, there was nothing unusual on the map. There was only a dot of light shining. Lu Ming compared it. The position of this dot of light was where he was. This dot of light was him. It seems that only by activating this jade tablet will there be a dot of light floating on it. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Now that everyone was fighting, there was naturally no dot of light floating. Then Lu Ming realized that he was lost. He had been flying around randomly and constantly changing directions. At this moment, he didn't know where he was. In the end, Lu Ming randomly chose a direction and flew forward. In the next few days, Lu Ming didn't meet anyone or any living creatures. It was as if he was the only one left in this world. He didn't know how much distance he had flown in these few days. Kill, kill, kill. Suddenly, Lu Ming heard faint battle cries coming from ahead. Lu Ming was shocked. This was because the battle cries didn't come from one or two people, or dozens of people. It sounded like thousands of soldiers and horses were roaring. Why would there be thousands of soldiers and horses here? Lu Ming was curious. Chapter 2056. The closer Lu Ming got to the source of the sound, the louder the battle cries became. Kill. 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 The battle cries pierced through the clouds. Lu Ming climbed up a mountain peak that was dead silent. He stood at the peak of the mountain and looked ahead. His pupils suddenly constricted. There was a huge ancient city in front of him. This ancient city was different from the ones he had seen before. The ancient cities he had seen before had almost collapsed, but this one was still intact. It was very majestic and huge. From afar, it looked like a giant beast lying there. Outside the ancient city, there was a black mass of figures. These figures were wearing iron armor and holding all kinds of weapons. These are not living beings. Lu Ming looked at these figures carefully. These figures were completely black, and their bodies under the armor seemed to be formed by energy. They were not living beings. Demonic spirits. Lu Ming muttered. These should be demonic spirits formed by the indestructible demonic thoughts of the demonic Tao experts after they died in battle. There were at least tens of thousands of demonic spirits. When they gathered together, they would occasionally let out battle cries that shook the heavens and earth. However, the demonic spirits had been lingering outside the ancient city. They did not leave or enter the ancient city. This ancient city is intact. I'm afraid there will be opportunities. Lu Ming thought. However, he had no intention of going in to explore. Not to mention whether there were dangers in the ancient city. The demonic spirits alone were not easy to deal with. After observing for a while, Lu Ming shook his head. He moved and left the place. This time, Lu Ming did not fly far before he saw a few rays of light flash, and a few old men appeared not far away. They were the boundary emperors of the ancient demonic nation. Obviously, they were attracted by the battle cries. Lu Ming. The boundary emperors saw Lu Ming and smiled as they flew toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming, what's in front? Why are there such intense battle cries? It sounds like thousands of soldiers and horses. An elder asked. His face carried a gentle smile, and his expression was kind and amiable. It's an ancient city. There are at least tens of thousands of demonic spirits outside the ancient city. The battle cries are coming from the demonic spirits. Lu Ming replied. An ancient city. The eyes of the old men lit up. They had come here in search of opportunities, because their lifespans were about to be exhausted. If they could not make a breakthrough, they would die sooner or later. They bitterly cultivated for more than 100,000 years. Yet in the end, they turned to dust. They were unwilling to accept this, and wanted to stake it all. When they heard that there was an ancient city, they were naturally moved. They speculated that the demonic sea was most likely formed by falling from the heavenly realm. It definitely contained a fortuitous encounter. Lu Ming, aren't you going to explore the ancient city? The kind-looking old man asked. I'm not going. Lu Ming shook his head. His main objective in entering the Devil's Sea was to obtain the ancient demonic coffin. As for opportunities and whatnot, he wasn't too interested in them. Then let's go in. The kind-looking old man smiled. There were 4 of them in total. They flew towards the ancient city and just happened to pass by Lu Ming. Just as the 2 sides clashed, a sword light suddenly blossomed from the kind-looking old man's hand and slashed towards Lu Ming's neck. The sword light tore through the void, bringing with it a terrifying whistling sound. It was incomparably sharp. At the same time, the other 3 quasi-emperors also made their moves. All sorts of terrifying attacks were aimed at Lu Ming's vital points. However, when the 4's attacks landed on Lu Ming's body, the primal chaos light burst out from Lu Ming's body and blocked all the attacks. Moreover, the primal chaos light trembled and a powerful force surged out. The 4 quasi-emperors' bodies trembled, and they all retreated. You are all courting death. Lu Ming said coldly as his cold gaze swept across the 4. You have been guarding against us? The kind-looking old man said with an unsightly expression. Earlier, when they were so close to each other, their attacks were extremely fast. If Lu Ming hadn't been guarding against them, he wouldn't have been able to react in such a short time. Furthermore, he wouldn't have been able to defend and counterattack. The only explanation was that Lu Ming had been guarding against them and had already prepared his defenses. The Blue Demon King, that old fellow, has been showing killing intent towards me along the way. Moreover, I have heard that he has great authority in the ancient devil nation. If he wants to order people around, many people would be willing to be his lackeys. Naturally, I have to guard against him. Lu Ming said indifferently. It could be said that among the people who entered the Devil's Sea this time, Lu Ming was wary of everyone except the ancient great emperor. That old fellow, the Blue Demon King, had lost face because of Lu Ming previously. Clearly, he harbored a grudge against him and had always wanted to kill him. With the Blue Demon King's authority, it was normal for him to bribe some people to kill Lu Ming. Let's go. The kind-looking old man roared and turned to run. They were all too clear about Lu Ming's combat strength. He wasn't someone they could fight against. Since their sneak attack failed, they could only run. Do you think you can escape? Kill. Lu Ming was the first to chase after the kind-looking old man. His speed was astonishing. In just a few breaths, he had caught up with the kind-looking old man. The kind-looking old man was almost scared to death. He roared, Lu Ming, you can't kill me. This is the ancient devil nation. If you kill me, you will die too. You still dare to threaten me at this time? What a joke. Kill. Lu Ming shouted coldly. He was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He pointed his finger and an extremely condensed finger force burst out. Although the kind-looking old man tried his best to resist, it was useless. The finger force directly pierced through his forehead and destroyed his soul. Whoosh. After killing the old man, Lu Ming didn't stop and chased after the other 3. Split up and run. One of them roared. The 3 of them ran in 3 different directions. However, Lu Ming caught up with one of them and killed him in one move. Then Lu Ming chased after the 3rd person. No, spare my life, the quasi-emperor yelled. However, Lu Ming was indifferent. He had to kill these people. How dare you? You are courting death. At this moment, an angry roar was heard. In the distance, a terrifying demonic light slashed toward Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. Before the voice died away, the demonic light was already about to slash Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed and he felt a sense of danger. At this moment, he burst out with all his strength. The light of primal chaos surrounded his body. He controlled 2 types of laws and executed his strongest move, the Annihilation Chaos Finger of Calamity. Boom! A gray chaos finger of calamity pointed at the beam of demonic light, and a shocking rumble erupted. The demonic light buzzed and was eventually blocked by Lu Ming. However, the chaos finger of calamity was also slashed apart by the demonic light. Lu Ming felt an extremely powerful force surging toward him. He couldn't help but retreat a few thousand meters. He felt the blood in his body churning. What a terrifying force! Lu Ming was shocked. It was definitely a martial emperor. Whoosh! There was a flash of light in front, and a black-robed middle-aged man appeared. This person exuded a terrifying aura. It was an emperor's aura. This person is definitely not a 1-star void emperor. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Chapter 2057. The black-robed middle-aged man looked coldly at Lu Ming and said, "Lu Ming, the great emperor has treated you well. He even brought you here to look for the ancient demonic coffin. Who would have thought that you would secretly kill the experts of the Devil Nation? You are heartless. You deserve to die. What a joke. You don't have to be so righteous if you want to kill me. You must have been sent by the Blue Demon King to kill me. You are just a lackey." Lu Ming sneered. At the same time, he was thinking of a way to escape. Die. The black-robed middle-aged man did not say anything else. He immediately attacked. The power of the heavens burst forth and turned into a saber light, slashing towards Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. 2-star illusionary emperor. Lu Ming judged that this person should be a 2-star illusionary emperor. He was stronger than a 1-star illusionary emperor, but not ridiculously strong. However, a 2-star illusionary emperor was not someone that Lu Ming could withstand. Swoosh! Lu Ming turned and left. He turned into a beam of light and flew towards the ancient city. If he wanted to shake off the black-robed middle-aged man, he could only rely on the ancient city. Trying to leave? No way. The black-robed middle-aged man shouted coldly. He turned into a beam of black light and chased after Lu Ming. At the same time, he slashed out a beam of black demonic light. Lu Ming's body glowed. Dozens of absolute sacred weapons and 2 emperor weapons floated out. The dozens of weapons gathered together. The combat weapon chi gathered and formed a huge defensive weapon. At the same time, the law of primal chaos and the light of primal chaos were added to the combat weapon. Lu Ming did not care and moved forward rapidly. Clang! The black-robed middle-aged man's demonic light slashed at the combat weapon behind Lu Ming. The combat weapon shook, and the dozens of weapons were almost shattered. If it were not for the 2 emperor weapons, the combat weapon chi, and the light of primal chaos and the law of primal chaos, an ordinary absolute sacred weapon would have been shattered by this attack. The terrifying power kept surging toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt his blood and chi churning, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he still managed to block it in the end. Furthermore, that power became his driving force, allowing him to fly forward even faster. The black-robed middle-aged man's face turned cold. Lu Ming's strength was truly terrifying. Even with the combat strength of a 2-star empty emperor, he was actually blocked. However, when he thought of the reward that the Blue Demon King had promised, his heart burned with passion, and he quickly chased after Lu Ming. Kill. In front of the ancient city, there were tens of thousands of demonic spirits. They were a black mass, wearing armor and holding weapons. Their battle cries shook the sky. Lu Ming quickly approached the ancient city. Clang! At this time, the black-robed middle-aged man launched another attack. A devilish light slashed at the battle weapon behind Lu Ming, causing it to shake violently. This time, Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. With his current combat strength, he could still contend against an ordinary 1-star empty emperor. However, the gap between him and a 2-star empty emperor was too great. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and endured, rushing headlong into the dark mass of devil spirits. Kill. Some devil spirits discovered Lu Ming, and their murderous intent swept towards Lu Ming. At the same time, all kinds of weapons were launched towards Lu Ming. It's equivalent to the Great Saint realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he judged the strength of the devil spirit that attacked him. Therefore he did not stop at all. With the light of chaos protecting his body, he directly rushed over. Bang! Bang! The demonic spirit that attacked Lu Ming directly exploded into pieces. In an instant, Lu Ming rushed a few hundred meters forward. However, immediately, more devil spirits charged towards Lu Ming. Moreover, their combat strength was stronger than before, reaching the absolute saint realm. Lu Ming ignored them and continued to rush forward. Behind him, the black-robed middle-aged man stopped. He did not dare to rush over rashly like Lu Ming. He just wanted to observe for a while. Behind him, there was the sound of air being torn apart, and more than 10 figures rushed over. They were all old men of the Boundary Emperor realm. Obviously, most of them had rushed over from behind. Just the few of you? The black-robed middle-aged man looked around and said coldly, "The 2 martial emperors will be here soon." A white-haired old man said, "Yes. This time, the Azure Demon King has entrusted us with the task of killing Lu Ming. We must not make any mistakes. One of you will stay here and wait for the other martial emperors to arrive. The rest of you follow me and prepare to charge into this ancient city," the black-robed middle-aged man ordered. At this moment, Lu Ming had rushed all the way and was already halfway through the journey. Although there were many devil spirits, they were too scattered. Moreover, there were not many experts in the first section. The strongest was only a perfected absolute saint. They could not stop Lu Ming at all. However, the closer they got to the ancient city, the stronger the devil spirits became. Whoosh! Whoosh! Several rusty iron swords slashed at Lu Ming. The swords whistled, wanting to tear Lu Ming apart. This attack had the offensive strength of a Boundary Emperor. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. He punched out, and the image of the suppressing prison steel appeared and smashed forward. Bang! Bang! The suppressing prison steel knocked away a few devil spirits, turning them into ashes in midair. The suppressing prison heavenly art is indeed effective against these devil spirits. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He continuously punched out with both fists, knocking away the Boundary Emperor realm devil spirits one by one. Even when facing the Boundary Emperor devil spirits, Lu Ming did not slow down. He quickly approached the ancient city. The black-robed middle-aged man finally could not hold back. He roared, "Charge with me!" Whoosh! Whoosh! The black-robed middle-aged man took the lead and charged out. 10 odd Boundary Emperors followed him like a long spear, stabbing at the devil spirit army. Only one Boundary Emperor remained to receive the others. After all, the black-robed middle-aged man was a 2-star foe emperor. He led the 10 odd Boundary Emperors and pierced through the devil spirit army like a long spear, quickly chasing after Lu Ming. Ordinary devil spirits could not stop them at all. When the black-robed middle-aged man was halfway through, Lu Ming was already about to break through the devil spirit's defense. However, at this moment, Lu Ming ran into trouble. There were 2 terrifying devil spirits attacking Lu Ming. These 2 devil spirits were wearing rusty armor. One held a sword and the other a long spear. Their strength was extremely shocking. These 2 devil spirits were equivalent to 1-star foe emperors. The iron sword and long spear attacked Lu Ming. In an instant, they scattered Lu Ming's suppressing prison steel and blocked Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's heart sank slightly. Indeed, there were martial emperors in the devil spirit army. Fortunately, they were not too terrifying. The 2 devil spirits were only equivalent to 1-star foe emperors. Lu Ming is blocked. Charge over! The black-robed middle-aged man's eyes lit up. He charged at Lu Ming at an even faster speed. With the 2 devil spirits blocking Lu Ming and him, Lu Ming would definitely die. Suppressing prison steel. At this moment, Lu Ming's mind stirred. The suppressing prison steel floated out and rapidly grew in size. It emitted a bright light and suppressed the 2 devil spirits. Boom! Boom! The suppressing prison steel's bloodline restrained the devil spirits even more. The bodies of the 2 devil spirits were directly sent flying by the suppressing prison steel. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming's figure flashed and charged through the encirclement of the devil spirit army, rushing toward the ancient city. The strange thing was that when Lu Ming approached the ancient city, The devil spirits stopped in their tracks and did not chase after Lu Ming. Chapter 2058. The ancient city's gates were open. However, the light in the city seemed very dim. Looking from the outside, the buildings in the city looked hazy, unable to be seen clearly. Boom, boom. Behind, the black-robed, middle-aged man continuously sent the demonic spirits flying as he gave chase. Lu Ming did not stop, directly charging into the ancient city. However, the moment Lu Ming charged into the ancient city, his expression changed. This was because he could not fly in the ancient city. The ancient city forbade flying. There was a mysterious power that prevented him from flying. Furthermore, the light in the city was indeed very dim. Visibility was not high. Even with Lu Ming's eyesight, he could not see far. There were many huge palaces and all sorts of ancient buildings in the city. They were tall and majestic, like huge monsters standing tall in the ancient city. Lu Ming directly charged into a small alley, running wildly in it. Then he turned into another small alley. There were countless streets and alleys in the ancient city. After a few turns, Lu Ming was already far away from the city gates. Just at this moment, the black-robed, middle-aged man led his men into the ancient city. The moment they entered the ancient city, their expressions changed as well. They felt that they could not fly. There might be fortuitous encounters in this ancient city. Let's search for that brat Lu Ming while searching for fortuitous encounters. A look of greed flashed in the black-robed, middle-aged man's eyes. Following that, he got two quasi-emperors to stand guard near the city gates. If they discovered Lu Ming, they were to report immediately. Then he led the remaining quasi-emperors down a random street and ran. Just at this moment, two more people arrived outside the ancient city. These two old men had exceptionally strong auras. They were clearly faux emperor experts. After the quasi-emperor who stayed outside to provide support gave a simple explanation of the situation, the two faux emperors charged into the ancient city as well. Although there were martial emperor demonic spirits among the demonic spirits, the two were focused on charging in, not fighting. The faux emperor demonic spirits could not stop them. After fighting for a while, they charged into the ancient city as well. Lu Ming wandered around the ancient city, circling around many strange ancient buildings. The city was eerily quiet. It was empty, without any signs of life. What is in these buildings? Lu Ming was curious. He rushed to the wall of a building and looked inside. The interior of the building was similarly empty. There was nothing inside. This was an empty city. Lu Ming looked at a few buildings in a row. They were all empty. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes flickered, because he saw the door of a palace in front of him, which was slightly ajar. The doors of the other buildings were all closed, except for this palace. Could it have been opened by the ancient devil nation? Lu Ming pondered. Those from the ancient devil nation must have entered as well. So it wasn't surprising that they were the ones who opened the door. Lu Ming retracted his aura, approached the door, and looked inside. With a glance, his pupils suddenly constricted. Inside the palace was a small courtyard. In the courtyard, there was a figure. That figure was seated cross-legged. It was wearing armor. However, within the armor was a skeleton. The armor was rusty and stained with dark red blood. It seemed that it was an ancient person who had died a long time ago. Lu Ming observed for a while, then left the place and continued to walk through the ancient city. He wondered if he should return to the city gate and leave this ancient city. For some reason, he had a bad feeling in his heart. He felt that this ancient city was very strange. After a while, a figure flashed at the entrance of the street in front of him. 7 to 8 figures appeared. It was the black-robed middle-aged man and the quasi-emperors. They also saw Lu Ming at a glance. "Lu Ming, where are you going now?" The black-robed middle-aged man said coldly and chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming turned and ran toward another street. The black-robed middle-aged man chased after him. They had explored a few ancient buildings in a row, but they didn't find anything. There was no opportunity at all, so Lu Ming couldn't let it go. At the very least, if they killed Lu Ming, they could still obtain a generous reward from the Blue Demon King. Soon Lu Ming turned 2 streets. However, at this moment, 2 more figures appeared in front of him. When Lu Ming saw these 2 people, his expression changed. These two people's auras were extremely terrifying. They were also martial emperors. Lu Ming. When the two saw Lu Ming, murderous intent flashed in their eyes. Then they charged at Lu Ming. Ha! Stop Lu Ming. The black-robed middle-aged man guffawed. Lu Ming's expression turned sullen. It looked like the Blue Demon King really wanted to kill him. He actually worked with so many people in secret. Naturally, Lu Ming could not stop and fight with the other party. The other party had 3 Void Emperors. If he got entangled, he would die for sure. Lu Ming's figure changed, and he charged down another street on the right. Ah! Just at this moment, a miserable shriek rang out in the silent ancient city, sounding extremely mournful. Lu Ming turned around and took a quick glance. Immediately, he felt a chill run down his spine. Xiao Chun saw that one of the quasi-emperors chasing him had fallen behind. At this moment, that quasi-emperor was completely encased in armor. That armor was mottled with rust and had pitch-black bloodstains on it. At this moment, the armor encased that quasi-emperor. That quasi-emperor's body quickly shriveled up, as if the armor had drained all his essence blood. What the hell is this? Scram! The black-robed middle-aged man shouted angrily. He swung his hand, and a pitch-black demonic saber struck the armor. Clang! A melodious sound rang out as the demonic saber struck the armor. However, there was not a single mark on the armor. As for that quasi-emperor, he had already stopped screaming and turned into a withered skeleton. Attacked together. The black-robed middle-aged man was enraged. He launched all sorts of attacks at the armor. However, the armor flickered and charged into a building. By the time the black-robed middle-aged man rushed into the building, there was no trace of the armor. The black-robed middle-aged man and the others showed somewhat sullen expressions. Continue chasing Lu Ming. The black-robed middle-aged man shouted angrily. The black-robed middle-aged burly man bellowed angrily. They continued to chase after Lu Ming. However, not long after, another miserable scream rang out. That armor came out of nowhere and entangled another quasi-emperor. The black-robed middle-aged man and the others launched a torrential barrage of attacks. When the various attacks landed on the armor gave off clanging sounds. In the end, it charged into another building with a flash. The armor ate people. Everyone's hair stood on end. What was going on? It was just a piece of armor. To think that it repeatedly charged out and consumed a quasi-emperor's essence blood. A quasi-emperor could not resist at all. This was too horrifying. The remaining quasi-emperors paled somewhat. The quasi-emperor should walk in the middle. The 3 of us will guard the periphery, the black-robed middle-aged man said. Then he got the quasi-emperor to walk in the middle and the 3 faux emperors to guard the periphery. Not far away, Lu Ming also heard the miserable scream and felt somewhat scared. To think that a piece of armor actually ate people. Most importantly, Lu Ming felt that this armor was very familiar. It was exactly the same as the armor on a corpse that he had seen in a courtyard previously. Chapter 2059. Lu Ming was running when all of a sudden, his hair stood on end. He felt a sense of impending danger. He turned around abruptly and pointed behind him. Chi. The finger force of the chaotic calamity finger shot out and struck a piece of armor. Clang. That armor shook a little, but nothing happened to it. It did not leave any traces behind. It swayed a little in the air and pounced toward Lu Ming at an alarming speed. Swoosh. Swoosh. Lu Ming continued to attack the armor with the chaotic calamity finger, but it was useless. The armor only shook a few times and continued to charge at Lu Ming. Lu Ming saw that there was blood flowing on the armor. They were like tentacles that stretched toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the law of chaos and the chaotic light to resist. But when the tentacles came into contact with the law of chaos and the chaotic light, the law of chaos and the chaotic light shook violently. In a breath's time, the tentacles tore them apart. Lu Ming retreated quickly and his hair stood on end. This armor was extremely terrifying. Even the chaotic light could not block it. Prison suppression. Lu Ming's heart moved. The prison suppression steel bloodline appeared behind him and emitted a bright light that suppressed the armor. Chi chi chi. The blood-red tentacles on the armor made a sizzling sound when they came into contact with the energy of the prison suppression steel. It was like ice being thrown into a fire and quickly melted. Those blood-red tentacles stretched back, and the armor disappeared in a flash. That was close. Lu Ming put away the prison suppression steel and let out a long breath. That armor was extremely evil. It seemed to have a spirit and was indestructible. It was very terrifying. Lu Ming is over there. Not far away. There was a loud roar. The black-robed middle-aged man and the others chased after Lu Ming. Obviously, Lu Ming had used the prison suppression steel. The light was too strong and they had discovered him. They really don't give up. Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he rushed in a certain direction. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived in front of a palace. The door of this palace was ajar. Lu Ming retracted his aura to the extreme, approached the door, and looked inside. Previously there was a skeleton in the courtyard. That skeleton was wearing armor. Now there was another skeleton. However, the armor it wore was gone. It really is this armor, Lu Ming murmured. After which, the purgatory suppressing monument floated above his head. Lu Ming then rushed towards the skeleton. Without any abnormalities, Lu Ming arrived at Dry Bones' side. Whoosh! At this time the door flashed, and the armor appeared. It twisted in a very human-like way, as if it was very nervous. Don't come over. Otherwise, I'll destroy this skeleton. Lu Ming condensed a big hand with his sacred power, and grabbed the skeleton in his hand. As expected, the armor stopped, not daring to approach. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It seemed that his guess was right. The armor and the skeleton were one. In other words, the owner of the armor was the skeleton. Perhaps the skeleton was very powerful when it was alive. After its death, the powerful energy nourished the armor, causing the armor to develop spiritual intelligence. However, the armor was still under the control of the skeleton. As long as the skeleton was destroyed, the armor would also be affected. Back off, Lu Ming said coldly. The armor twisted a few times, but in the end it retreated. Lu Ming revealed a smile and said, "Follow behind me. It's best that you don't mess around. I can destroy this skeleton with just a thought." After saying that, Lu Ming left the courtyard and headed in a certain direction. The armor could only obediently follow behind Lu Ming. "Come," Lu Ming sneered. The purgatory suppressing monument rapidly enlarged, emitting a dazzling light that could be seen from afar. Then, Xiaochen put away the purgatory suppressing monument and got the armor to hide in a building. Then he waited quietly. Xiaochen did not have to wait for long before a figure flashed in front. The black-robed, middle-aged man quickly arrived with a group of people. However, the other two martial emperors were nowhere to be seen. Lu Ming smiled and looked behind him. Two figures quickly rushed over from behind. They were the two martial emperors chasing after Xiaochen. Clearly, the other party feared that Lu Ming would run away, so they attacked him from two sides. Two one-star foe emperors. Lu Ming revealed a cold smile as he stood there without moving. Whoosh! Whoosh! The black-robed, middle-aged man's figure flashed, and he led 7 or 8 quasi-emperors and the two foe emperors to surround Lu Ming. "It looks like that old fellow Blue Demon King really spent a lot of money to kill me." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "Lu Ming, although you are a genius, you do not know how to conduct yourself. You even dared to offend the Blue Demon King. Only death awaits you." The black-robed, middle-aged man said coldly. Lu Ming was rendered speechless. Speaking of which, from the start to the end, Xiaochen had not taken the initiative to provoke the Blue Demon King. It was the other party who had been targeting him. First, Lu Ming did not let Xiaochen participate in the competition. Then Lu Ming defeated the ancient demon, slapping Xiaochen's face. Was that not what Xiaochen asked for? Such people could only be described as narrow-minded. "If you want to kill me, be careful not to lose your insignificant lives here." Lu Ming smiled coldly. Boom. Lu Ming moved, executing the destruction primal chaos tribulation finger. He pointed at the black-robed middle-aged man. "You overestimate yourself." The black-robed, middle-aged man also moved. His palm was like a saber as he chopped down. A demonic saber light chopped at Lu Ming. Boom. The destruction primal chaos tribulation finger could not resist for long before it shattered. Lu Ming quickly retreated. However, at this moment, that armor charged out of a building and entangled a quasi-emperor. That quasi-emperor let out a miserable shriek as his body rapidly shriveled. Kill Lu Ming first. The black-robed middle-aged man roared as he charged at Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming directly charged into a hall at the side. The black-robed, middle-aged man and two other martial emperors also charged into the hall, chasing after Lu Ming. Of course, the quasi-emperors were included as well. The hall was very large, but it was empty. There were no signs of life at all. Lu Ming rushed into the hall and dashed toward the depths of the hall. Ah! Behind him, another miserable shriek rang out. After the armor devoured a quasi-emperor, it entangled another quasi-emperor. Moreover, as the armor devoured quasi-emperors, it seemed to become stronger. At first, it needed a few breaths to devour a quasi-emperor. Now it only needed one breath. Damn it! The black-robed middle-aged man roared. If this continued, all the quasi-emperors would be devoured. The two of you continue chasing. I will block that armor. The black-robed middle-aged man roared as he turned around and charged at that armor. By the time he arrived, another quasi-emperor had been devoured by the armor. In just a short while, the armor had already devoured 3 quasi-emperors and killed them. Enraged, the black-robed, middle-aged man sent out a move with his full strength. However, the armor did not attack him at all. It flickered a few times and directly fled. The remaining 5 quasi-emperors paled, their faces drained of blood. Now follow me closely. Chapter 2060. The black-robed middle-aged man led the remaining 5 boundary emperors and chased after Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming and the 2 void emperors had already rushed out of the palace and were quite a distance away. Lu Ming, prepare to die. We'll give you a quick death. You've offended the Blue Demon King. Your fate is already sealed. The 2 void emperors constantly shouted coldly, provoking Lu Ming. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He wandered around the winding streets. After running for a while, Lu Ming suddenly stopped and sneered. You want to kill me? Come on. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming took a few steps and charged towards the 2 void emperors. The 2 void emperors were stunned. They did not understand why Lu Ming suddenly stopped running. However, Lu Ming stopping was exactly what they wanted. Kill! The 2 void emperors charged towards Lu Ming. However, at this moment, the armor rushed out from a building at the side and pounced towards one of the void emperors. The void emperor was shocked and quickly changed the direction of his attack towards the armor. However, the armor was sturdy and indestructible. It only shook slightly and continued to charge towards the void emperor. Tentacles appeared on the armor and wrapped around the opponent. Primal Chaos Calamity Finger. Lu Ming used the Primal Chaos Calamity Finger with all his strength and charged towards the other void emperor. With Lu Ming's current strength, the void emperor did not dare to be careless. He also used all his strength to attack Lu Ming. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming and the void emperor exchanged 2 moves. Although Lu Ming was at a disadvantage, he managed to block them. Lu Ming had fought the void emperor of the He clan before. However, the void emperor of the He clan had just broken through to the 1-star void emperor. His strength was not as strong as the person in front of him, but it was not much weaker. Although Lu Ming was not a match for him, he was still a threat to the other party. Lu Ming's back glowed as his 3rd bloodline appeared. Lu Ming had borrowed part of his 3rd bloodline's power. However, Lu Ming was very careful and did not dare to borrow too much. He only borrowed the portion that he could control. Even so, Lu Ming's strength had greatly increased. Whoosh whoosh. Lu Ming continued to unleash Chaotic Tribulation Finger. After borrowing the power of his 3rd bloodline, Lu Ming's power had greatly increased. Finally, he was able to fight his opponent head-on and not be at a disadvantage. Lu Ming entangled one of them, but the other void emperor was in danger. After devouring a few quasi-emperors, the armor's might had indeed increased greatly. That armor was very terrifying to begin with. Even Lu Ming's light of primal chaos could not block it. But now, the armor's power had increased greatly. Coupled with Lu Ming's threat, it could unleash even more terrifying power. The quasi-emperor's attacks continued to bombard the armor, but it was useless. The armor kept getting closer to the quasi-emperor. The blood-red tentacles extended towards the quasi-emperor and directly broke his defense. The blood-red tentacles wrapped around the quasi-emperor and began to devour him. Get lost! The quasi-emperor roared in horror as he struggled with all his might. However, it was useless. The armor wrapped tighter around him like an octopus and began to devour him. Ah! Save me! Save me! The quasi-emperor screamed in agony as he frantically twisted his body. However, it was all in vain. He felt that everything in his body was being devoured by the armor. His body was rapidly shriveling. The other quasi-emperor was horrified and wanted to save him, but he was firmly entangled by Lu Ming. At this moment, the black-robed middle-aged man finally arrived with his men. However, when he arrived, the quasi-emperor who was entangled by the armor was already beyond saving. His body had completely shriveled up and turned into a skeleton. The essence, qi, and spirit in his body had disappeared without a trace. A layer of bright red light spread out from the armor, as if there was blood surging on it. Swoosh! The armor moved and charged towards the quasi-emperor, who was fighting with Lu Ming. Get lost! The quasi-emperor exploded with an attack, wanting to blast open the armor and escape. However, Lu Ming would not give him the chance. He pointed a finger at the quasi-emperor's chest, causing the quasi-emperor to vomit blood and be severely injured. The armor wrapped around the quasi-emperor, and its tentacles wrapped around him, and began to devour him. Help! The quasi-emperor screamed in horror. The black-robed middle-aged man who was chasing after the quasi-emperor turned pale, and revealed a terrified expression. If a one-star quasi-emperor could not resist, then a two-star quasi-emperor like him would be in danger. Let's go! The black-robed middle-aged man did not hesitate and turned to leave. This ancient city was too strange. If he stayed any longer, he might not even be able to keep his life. The 5 quasi-emperors followed the black-robed middle-aged man and rushed towards the city's gate. They did not want to stay in this ancient city for a moment longer. The quasi-emperor who was entangled by the armor let out a desperate roar. Not long after, he was devoured by the armor and turned into a skeleton. After devouring 2 quasi-emperors in a row, the armor emitted a dazzling blood-red light. It was incomparably horrifying. The armor seemed to be staring at Lu Ming and circling around Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. The prison-suppressing steel floated in the air. At the same time, he grabbed the skeleton and stared at the armor. The armor flew a few rounds, as if it was still afraid that Lu Ming would destroy the skeleton. Moreover, it was also very afraid of the prison-suppressing steel. In the end, it retreated a little and kept a distance from Lu Ming. Chase! Lu Ming whispered and chased after the black-robed middle-aged man and the others. The armor followed behind him. However, when Lu Ming rushed to the ancient city's gate, he found that the black-robed middle-aged man and the others had already rushed out of the city and into the demonic spirit army. They were breaking out of the encirclement. Whoosh! Lu Ming also rushed out of the city. However, the armor remained in the city. It seemed like it could not leave the city. No matter how Lu Ming threatened it, it was useless. Lu Ming sighed in regret. He could only return to the city. Soon, the black-robed middle-aged man broke out of the encirclement of the demonic spirits. However, he did not go far. Instead, he stood guard there. The black-robed middle-aged man showed an extremely unsightly expression. This time, the losses were disastrous. After entering the ancient city, not only did 4 quasi-emperors die, but 2 faux emperors also died. Faux emperors were not people that quasi-emperors could compare to. They were already martial emperors. Only 1 out of 100 quasi-emperors could break through to martial emperor. Send a message to the Blue Demon King. We will wait here. That armor seems to be unable to come out. The black-robed middle-aged man said coldly. Without that armor, Lu Ming did not care about it at all. Lu Ming observed the city for a while. When he discovered that the black-robed middle-aged man stood guard outside the city, he could not help frowning. That black-robed middle-aged man was a 2-star faux emperor. Even if Xiao Chen borrowed the power of his 3rd bloodline, he would not be able to charge out. Let's take a look at this ancient city first. See if there are any other powers that we can borrow. Perhaps there are other city gates that lead outside. Lu Ming thought for a while. Then he turned around and headed into the ancient city. This ancient city was too big. It was vast and boundless. Furthermore, there was a restricted airspace, preventing flight. Traveling like this would take a lot of time. Lu Ming searched 10 odd buildings in the city, but did not discover anything. There were also no other strange places. Chapter 2061. To Lu Ming's disappointment, he came to the left and right sides of the ancient city, but did not see any city gates. There were only tall and majestic city walls. Moreover, there seemed to be a force on the city walls that prevented him from going up. In other words, it was impossible to leave through the walls. This ancient city can't only have one city gate, right? Lu Ming was speechless. Normally, a big city would not only have one city gate. Even if there were fewer, there would at least be 2. Normally there would be 4, 8, or even more. Perhaps in the depths of the ancient city, there will be a city gate in the direction opposite to the city gate. Lu Ming pondered and decided to enter the depths of the ancient city and pass through it. Just as Lu Ming was about to leave and enter the depths of the ancient city, a few more figures arrived outside the ancient city. One of them had 8 people, 4 of whom were martial emperors. The leading old man was the Blue Demon King. The Blue Demon King had a lot of power in the ancient Devil Kingdom. He was of the same generation as the ancient Great Emperor. His cultivation had reached the peak of the true Emperor realm, and he was highly regarded by the ancient Great Emperor. Therefore, many people in the ancient Devil Kingdom would give him face. Moreover, the Blue Demon King had promised a generous reward for killing Lu Ming. Naturally, many people would follow the Blue Demon King to kill Lu Ming. What's going on? The Blue Demon King arrived and glanced coldly at the black-robed middle-aged man. It's like this. The black-robed middle-aged man explained the situation in the ancient city in a trembling voice. A piece of armor? The Azure Demon King's eyes flashed, followed by a cold murderous intent. They had lost so many experts because of Lu Ming. Lu Ming deserved to die. Those above Martial Emperor, follow me. The rest stay outside. The Blue Demon King ordered and flew into the ancient city. The Blue Demon King was a peak true Emperor realm expert. He was too strong. The devil spirits were like ants in front of the Blue Demon King. With a single slap, a large number of devil spirits were destroyed. They easily charged through the devil spirit army and rushed into the ancient city. 2 people in a group. Split up and look for Lu Ming. If you find him, inform us immediately, the Blue Demon King said. The people following the Blue Demon King this time were not to be underestimated. There were 3 of them, 1 true emperor and 2 void emperors. All of them were 5-star void emperors and above, much stronger than the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man followed the true emperor to the right. At this moment, Lu Ming had already passed through the center of the ancient city and was heading toward the depths. Compared to the direction of the city gate, this was indeed the depths of the ancient city. When Lu Ming arrived at the depths of the ancient city, he felt his hair stand on end. He felt a sense of danger. The buildings here are even more majestic. They look like small castles. Lu Ming looked around. The buildings here were indeed more majestic. They were pitch black and filled with the aura of time. Lu Ming moved forward cautiously. Behind him, the armor continued to follow him. Dong. Suddenly, a building in front of him shook. Lu Ming was startled and stopped. Dong. Then the building shook again. It was as if a giant beast was attacking the castle from inside the building. After a few more tremors, the sound disappeared. Lu Ming frowned. He used his divine breath technique to restrain his aura to the extreme and continued forward. Roar. When Lu Ming passed by the building, an explosive roar came from the building. Then, the sound of iron chains colliding could be heard. In the next moment, Lu Ming saw a claw reaching out from the building. This claw was like a beast's claw. It was covered in black scales and wrapped around the claw were black chains. The claw was as big as a house. It grabbed at Lu Ming and emitted a terrifying aura. Lu Ming was shocked and quickly retreated. However, that hand claw actually expanded rapidly, becoming longer and bigger at an extremely fast speed. It grabbed toward Lu Ming at an alarming speed. Lu Ming was about to be grabbed. At this moment, Lu Ming controlled the prison-suppressing steel. The prison-suppressing steel shone and blasted at the claw. Chi. The claw was enveloped by the light of the prison-suppressing steel. It let out a sizzling sound and black smoke spread out. Roar. Another loud roar came from the building. The claw reached back. Lu Ming kept retreating. After retreating a distance, he let out a long breath. There were living creatures in the building. It looked like they were locked up. This shocked Lu Ming. This ancient city looked like it had been here for countless years. Why were there still living creatures? Could it be that the living creatures in the building were locked up by the original owner of this ancient city? However, to be able to survive for so long, it must be extremely powerful. Let's change directions. Lu Ming left the place and walked to the right for a while before continuing forward. In front of him, there were still many huge buildings. Lu Ming carefully passed through some buildings, but did not find anything unusual. It seemed that not every building had living creatures. Even if there were, they might have died after so many years. Not many could survive. However, Lu Ming's good luck did not last for long. Roar. With a roar, a claw reached out from one of the buildings. This claw was bigger than the previous one. It was covered in black scales and its nails were very long, like the claws of a demon. Lu Ming blocked it with the prison-suppressing steel and retreated quickly. Fortunately, the prison-suppressing steel had a strong restraining effect on this kind of claw. The moment the claw came in contact with the light of the prison-suppressing steel, it quickly retreated into the building. Lu Ming retreated a distance and wandered around the area. It seemed that there were terrifying living creatures in the buildings in this area. He did not know which ones were and which were not. It was not safe to barge in like this even with the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel. Lu Ming pondered. At this moment, a few figures were rushing in Lu Ming's direction at high speed. Just now, the light of the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline was discovered even from a distance. The Blue Demon King and the others were rushing towards Lu Ming. Among them, the Blue Demon King was the fastest. Although he was a peak true emperor and was forbidden to fly in this ancient city, his cultivation was still there. Even if he could not fly, his speed was still astonishing. Lu Ming was hesitating whether he should barge in. However, at this moment he suddenly had an ominous feeling. He looked behind him and saw a figure dashing toward him at lightning speed. In an instant, it appeared not far away from Lu Ming. The Blue Demon King. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. Lu Ming die. The Blue Demon King directly attacked Lu Ming. Block it! Lu Ming shouted. The armor rushed towards the Blue Demon King. Boom! The Blue Demon King was so strong that he directly sent the armor flying. Chapter 2062. Facing an expert like the Blue Demon King, rushing outside would only lead to death. Only by rushing inside would there be a chance of survival. Kill! The Blue Demon King shouted as he chased after Lu Ming. However, that armor once again entangled the Blue Demon King. The armor was covered in rust, but at this moment, it was emitting a dense blood-red light. Tentacles extended out and wrapped around the Blue Demon King. Boom! The Blue Demon King punched out. The terrifying fist energy sent the armor flying far away. However, the armor's material was indeed extraordinary. It was indestructible and wasn't destroyed by the Blue Demon King's attack. After the armor was sent flying, it once again flew towards the Blue Demon King. Seeing Lu Ming continuously rushing towards the depths of the ancient city, the Blue Demon King revealed an angry expression. At this moment, the other four also arrived. You guys go chase after Lu Ming. The Blue Demon King coldly said. The other four nodded and chased after him. The Blue Demon King coldly stared at the armor as a layer of black flame spread out from his body. This was a type of demonic fire. It was extremely terrifying and had an astonishing temperature. He pressed down with one hand, and the demonic fire surged out and enveloped the armor. After all, the Blue Demon King was a peak true emperor expert. Although the armor's material was indestructible, it didn't contain a lot of energy. How could it be a match for the Blue Demon King? After being enveloped by the demonic fire, the armor emitted sizzling sounds. The scarlet blood was quickly refined by the demonic fire. Not long after, the armor fell to the ground with a clang, as if it had turned into a pile of scrap metal. Not only was the blood in the armor refined, Everything else was also refined, including the trace of imprint. It disappeared without a trace and turned into a pile of scrap metal. Lu Ming, who was running, had a change in his expression. The white skeleton in his hands turned into ashes with a bang. Lu Ming knew that the armor would not be able to stop the Azure Demon King. He was a peak true emperor, and was only one step away from becoming a great emperor. He was too powerful. Whoosh! Whoosh! Behind them, 4 figures quickly chased after Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. It was one of the 4 martial emperors. One of them was surrounded by a divine light, clearly a true emperor. This emperor was the fastest and chased after Lu Ming with lightning speed. Roar! At this moment, an explosive roar came from a huge building. A huge claw stretched out of the building and grabbed at Lu Ming. Let's fight! Lu Ming didn't stop. He continued to charge inside while controlling the prison-suppressing steel to float above his head. The prison-suppressing steel's bloodline shone brightly. The moment the giant claw got close to the prison-suppressing steel, it was as if it was burned by fire. It hurriedly withdrew. Lu Ming successfully dashed past this building and continued to go deeper. The true emperor caught up in just a few breaths. The true emperor naturally saw the claw earlier. He channeled his world force and was on full alert. Roar! Sure enough, the claw reached out once the true emperor got close. Its scales grew to the size of a house and aimed for the true emperor. What the hell is this? The true emperor roared and unleashed his world force. It turned into an axe and swung down. Boom! The battle axe chopped down on the huge palm. But the palm only trembled a little. It was completely fine. Only a shallow mark was left on the scales on the surface of the palm. On the other hand, the true emperor staggered back several steps. Roar! There seemed to be a terrifying fiend inside the building. It roared and reached for the true emperor with its claw. One could see that it was covered in black scales and bound by black chains. It made clanking noises as it reached for the true emperor. A world seemed to be floating in the true emperor's body. Several colors fused together to unleash a terrifying attack. This was the fusion of several types of laws, and its power was extremely terrifying. Compared to Lu Ming's initial integration of 2 types of laws, it was many times stronger. In the martial emperor realm, one could cultivate many kinds of laws. They could even merge them together, and their might would be extremely shocking. Boom! The true emperor's attack collided with the claw. Clank! The chains clashed. The claw was stopped, but the true emperor couldn't make it through. This living creature is locked inside and can't get out. I'll block it. You guys rush over and kill Lu Ming. The true emperor said and attacked again, successfully entangling the claw. The other 3 had a serious expression. They circled around and headed for Lu Ming. Lu Ming went deeper and deeper. He passed through more than 10 buildings, but nothing happened. Boom! Boom! While Lu Ming was running, a loud explosion came from one of the buildings ahead. A gigantic hand reached for Lu Ming. Not only was this huge hand covered in scales, but there was also a terrifying cold current that swept toward Lu Ming. Even though he was far away, Lu Ming felt as though he was about to be frozen. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and continued to attack with the prison-suppressing monument. Fortunately, the prison-suppressing monument bloodline could still restrain the other party. That huge hand stretched back, and Lu Ming dashed past it. Behind them, the black-robed middle-aged man, and the other 2 had grave expressions. They weren't true emperors, so they didn't dare to charge forward. They circled around the building and chased after Lu Ming. Alas, they weren't so lucky. They didn't get far before a claw reached out from another building. Not good retreat. One of them was shocked and retreated frantically. The expressions of the other 2 also changed abruptly, and they also retreated. But it was too late. The black-robed middle-aged man was the weakest. He was only a 2-star void emperor and was caught. Ah! He screamed miserably and tried to break free, but it was to no avail. The hand squeezed and the sound of bones cracking could be heard from the black-robed middle-aged man's body. He vomited blood and lost the strength to struggle. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and fear. He came in to kill Lu Ming for the reward. The reward could even help him survive the next calamity. But now he was going to die here. After that large hand grabbed the black-robed middle-aged man, it stretched back. Then, within the building, there was a mournful scream, as well as the sound of crunching and chewing. The other two Void Emperors felt cold sweat all over. Even with their cultivation, they were sweating. Obviously, the black-robed middle-aged man was eaten by the creature in the building. The two of them didn't dare to move forward and stopped there. "Scram, you bunch of trash." The Blue Demon King rushed over and punched the claw that was fighting with the true Emperor. A terrifying devilish flame burned and the claw was knocked away. Its scales scattered and fell to the ground. A peak true Emperor was much stronger than an ordinary true Emperor. Die. Chapter 2063. The Blue Demon King's strength was truly frightening. He was a peak true Emperor expert. Although the creature in the building was powerful, it had been suppressed for countless years and didn't have much battle strength left. Poof! The Blue Demon King's demonic saber slashed down and chopped off the giant arm. Roar! The creature in the building roared. The chains clanged and the building rumbled as if a giant beast wanted to rush out. But in the end it didn't. The Blue Demon King rushed past and chased after Lu Ming. In front, Lu Ming's expression was solemn. The creatures in these buildings couldn't stop the Blue Demon King at all. He had to increase his speed. Lu Ming erupted with all his strength and rushed forward. Not long after, another creature roared from another building. This time, it was a large flame that spewed out from the building. Lu Ming used the prison-suppressing steel bloodline to block it and rushed past. Next, Lu Ming encountered several buildings with creatures. Lu Ming used the prison-suppressing steel to rush past them all. Behind him, the Blue Demon King chased after Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. If it weren't for the creatures obstructing the Blue Demon King along the way, he would have caught up to Lu Ming long ago. What should I do? Lu Ming quickly thought of a solution in his mind. Right now, he couldn't control the Heaven Emperor's body. With his own cultivation, facing the Blue Demon King was a dead end. However, other than the Heaven Emperor's body, he didn't have any treasures that could resist the Blue Demon King. After that, Lu Ming leaped a long distance. There were no more buildings in front of him, only some low rocks. Lu Ming didn't stop and could only continue forward. Now he could only rely on his luck. He hoped that there was something that could stop the Blue Demon King. Whoosh! Lu Ming was like a flickering shadow, rushing forward at an astonishing speed. Behind them, the Blue Demon King continuously charged through the buildings and was about to reach the low rocky area. However, at this moment Lu Ming, who was in front, suddenly stopped. Because there was no road ahead. There was a lake that blocked the way. This was a magma lake that covered an extremely wide area. It completely blocked the path ahead and emitted a terrifying temperature. This was definitely not ordinary magma, which made Lu Ming feel a sense of crisis. "Haha, kid, why aren't you running anymore?" The Blue Demon King caught up and stopped not too far away. He looked at Lu Ming with a hint of ridicule. "Old man, you're too narrow-minded. You've lost your face, but you're blaming it on me." As Lu Ming spoke, he tried to think of a countermeasure. Even in the face of despair, Lu Ming would not give up. It's not a good thing for young people to be in the limelight. The Blue Demon King said coldly and walked towards Lu Ming step by step. In his opinion, Lu Ming should not have made a move back then. He should have just sat there quietly. How could he lose face in front of everyone? "Kid, you must have had a lot of fortuitous encounters to be able to reach this step. Give me your things, or any ancient scriptures, and I might let you live." The Blue Demon King sneered. Lu Ming curled his lips. It would be strange if this old man would let him go. Even if he gave him everything, the other party would still kill him and not let him live. "How can I believe you?" Lu Ming said. "In the current situation, you have to believe me even if you don't want to." The Blue Demon King said coldly. "Go and kill those 3 guys, and I'll give it to you. I'll give you all the fortuitous encounters I've obtained." Lu Ming looked behind the Blue Demon King. Behind him, the other 3 experts had followed the Blue Demon King's path and arrived here. Hearing this, the 3 of them could not help but stop, their faces turning pale. The Blue Demon King was vicious and merciless. Perhaps he would really do that. "Kid, you don't have the qualifications to bargain with me now. If you don't hand it over, I'll cripple you right now and slowly interrogate you." Let's see if you'll hand it over or not. The Blue Demon King's body emitted a cold killing intent, and terrifying demonic flames spread out. Whoosh! At this moment, Lu Ming's figure moved. With a step, his body leaped towards the lava lake. Now he could only rely on the lava lake to take a gamble. Trying to escape? Die. The Blue Demon King shouted and blasted out a palm. Demonic flames filled the sky and enveloped Lu Ming. The demonic flames were like a bolt of lightning. Its speed was astonishing. In an instant, it caught up to Lu Ming and enveloped Lu Ming. Roar! Lu Ming let out a beast-like roar. Too painful. Being enveloped by the demonic flames was too painful. Lu Ming felt as if his body was about to be burnt to a crisp. Lu Ming frantically circulated his saint power to cover his body. At the same time, he controlled the primal chaos law to cover his body with primal chaos light, to resist the attack of the demonic flames. However, the demonic flames were released by the Blue Demon King. A peak true emperor was too terrifying. All of Lu Ming's defenses were burned through in an instant. Plop. At this time, Lu Ming fell into the lava lake and disappeared. After entering the lava lake, Lu Ming gathered his remaining strength and frantically rushed towards the bottom of the lake. You want to leave? Impossible. The Blue Demon King's expression was very cold. He also rushed into the lava lake and chased after Lu Ming. Boom. Boom. The Blue Demon King waved his palms, stirring up the surrounding lava. Several terrifying demonic flames broke through the lava and blasted towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming simply couldn't dodge and was hit by several demonic flames. The terrifying temperature of the demonic flames burned through Lu Ming's defenses. A heart-wrenching pain spread throughout Lu Ming's body. Even with Lu Ming's current spiritual body, he couldn't resist at all. He felt as if his body was turning into ashes bit by bit. However, Lu Ming still didn't give up. He crazily rushed down. The temperature at the bottom of the lava lake was shockingly high. The lower he went, the higher the temperature. Moreover, there was a terrifying pressure pressing down on Lu Ming from all directions. Being burned by the Blue Demon King's demonic flames and the lava's flames, Lu Ming couldn't resist at all. His body was slowly burning into ashes. Lu Ming could feel that the flesh on his body was disappearing, and even his bones were exposed. However, Lu Ming continued to dive at an astonishing speed because the Blue Demon King was still chasing after him. Boom! The Azure Demon struck out with his palm again. However, the pressure of the lava here was already astonishing. Although the Blue Demon King's palm force broke through the lava, a portion of it had already been offset. Only a portion of it landed on Lu Ming's body. At this moment, Lu Ming's hands and feet turned into ashes in the demonic flames. Only his body was still bitterly holding on as he continued to descend. However, the Blue Demon King still didn't give up the chase. The two of them continued to descend. Along the way, the Blue Demon King struck out a few more times. However, due to the obstruction of the lava, most of the power was blocked. At this moment, they had already dived for thousands of meters. At this point, the temperature was extremely terrifying. Even the Blue Demon King felt a sense of danger. It was as if there was something below that could threaten his safety. This kid is dead for sure. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.